his signs today.
How are you?
Better than I've been.
Are you gonna take those Valentine's tickets and take your sweet wife out?
My wife is going to visit her sister in Arizona. She's leaving me here, which.
Short term.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, she's just leaving.
That's it.
She can't take it anymore. She's trying to wait until it didn't look bad.
Well, hopefully she'll have fun, and certainly the weather will be better. Hello. Good. How are you?
I'll try to go.
Okay, let's look at next week then. No taunting. So unfair. So unfair. Already jealous. All right, look at your schedule for next week then. I've got UFA. Okay. Not for me, it's not. Construction holiday. Yep, gotta do fire. And
So, sounds
Wednesday
like
works for me.
Main Street negotiation strategy worked well. Do you want a little more now, or do you want?
The other side Academy safety presentation. Oh, that's not me.
Oh, yes, it worked
Yeah, so
great.
Wednesday, Thursday, good. Wednesday or Thursday.
All right, I would like to welcome everyone out to our city council meeting, our general meeting for Wednesday, February 13th. We will go ahead and get started with the Pledge of Allegiance that will be done by Troop 1015.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We appreciate whenever our youth come and participate in our meeting, so thank you very much for being here. We will go on to any disclosures of conflict of interest from members of our council tonight?
None.
Okay. Does the council have any comments or recognitions they'd like to make this time? Okay. I just would quickly like to commend both our police department and our fire department for the great work that they're doing. We received a letter from South Jordan's police department expressing their appreciation to what our police department here has done for them in the last several weeks. And we just want to make sure that we recognize our officers for the efforts that they're doing. And then I'd also want to thank our city employees for the street cleaning. I had the opportunity to go to another city this last week, and it had been about 3 days since the last snowstorm, and there were still 6 inches of snow on the road. It was much different than what we experience here, so I wanted to make sure that I expressed my thanks for the hard work being done by our staff for the snowplow, and I'm sure we'll hear more about 2 of them in an upcoming meeting. So, okay. We will move on to the public comment portion of our meeting. We do have one public comment form that we've received, so we will start with that. Just be aware that audience members may bring any item to the mayor or council's attention. Comments will be limited to 2 minutes. State law does prohibit the council from acting on items that do not appear on the agenda, so please be aware of that. But at this time, we have received a form, so we will invite Don Opie to come up and speak to us.
Hi, my name is Dawn Opie, and I'm the president of Oak Grove Mountain Girls Softball and a Herriman resident. I also have some board members here with me, Brett Musto, McKay Marston, Ethan Worley, Cicely Taylor, and Kathy Wilfert. We are here tonight to thank Herriman City for working with our softball organization for providing practice areas. Wendy's been amazing to work with, and as a nonprofit organization, and providing recreational services to Herriman and Riverton citizens, we really depend on no or low fee practices and playing fields. You may be interested to know a little bit about our organization. We have been in existence for 35 years and have provided recreational softball opportunities for thousands of girls in this part of the valley. Our mission statement is to provide a quality recreational softball program by teaching the fundamentals of softball in a safe and enjoyable atmosphere, to provide opportunities to improve softball skills and learn the value of good sportsmanship while enhancing self-esteem. We typically provide recreational softball opportunities for over 600 girls, 50 teams, and 6 age groups. Each spring, supported by hundreds of coaches and volunteers, including our board, which are all volunteers as well. We are only limited to the number of girls we can provide space for by how many fields we have. Right now we have 3 softball fields that are provided to us by Riverton, and we likewise appreciate Riverton's absolute and complete support throughout the years as well. This organization, we wanted to bring it to your guys' attention that 55% of our girls are from Herriman and Riverton, and actually 27% of that is Herriman girls. So what we want to bring to you guys today is about Herriman's future plans for additional recreational facilities, like a girls' softball field complex, as a recreational partner with Herriman City and a potential user of such a field. We would welcome any opportunity to engage in this process and the planning and development of these facilities so that we can accommodate more girls. And we were wondering if you guys could share those plans with us.
Appreciate that. Generally, in this time, we don't have an interaction back and forth, but what we'd be happy to do is we'd be happy to have you work with members of our staff to find out where we are in that process, and if you have any questions or concerns that you would like to speak with any of us about, I'm sure any of us would be happy to. Sports is obviously a very important part of our community, and we have a lot of youth that go through our programs, and so I think we're all very vested in making sure that as many of the programs that can are successful. So we'd be happy to help you with that in any way that we can. But right now, I think we direct you to our staff to see what we can find on what the plan is now, and then if we need recommendations or if there's things they do, they'd be happy to pass that on to us to see what we can do as we go through our general plan.
Okay. Well, thank you for listening.
Very much. All right, that was the only comment form that I had at this time. So if there's any others that would like to come and speak at this time, you're welcome to come up and do so. Seeing none, we will go ahead and close the public comment section of our meeting. All right, any board or committee reports from the council?
Not at this time.
Oh, I do. On the board report?
Yeah.
Yeah. So South Salt Lake Valley mosquito abatement. We had a board meeting a couple of days ago, and I guess just for public announcement, they are hiring for summer jobs. So if you have 18 or older and you're looking for a summer job, there's a great opportunity to serve there. Just go to their website, sslvmad.org, for those employment opportunities.
A couple quick things from as far as board appointments, etc. We've just gotten our new assignments. We've all divided up some of the administrative responsibilities, so just in case some weren't aware, there was some discussion on whether we'd be able to retain certain committee appointments through the Council of Governments, COG, etc. Councilman Smith happened to be out of town at that meeting, so I subbed for him and volunteered him for those same committee positions on Transcom, JPAC, and the UTA Local Advisory, which I think was approved unanimously by that board, which is great, with the help of our partners, which is the other part. My responsibility is the Southwest cities. For those who don't know, our Southwest cities are growing rapidly. We're facing a lot of pressures internally and externally. So through the leadership of Mayor Staggs, Ramsey, Riding, and Timothy, kind of gotten the 5 cities together to work towards some common goals regarding development, transportation, et cetera. So they've actually applied for and already received part of the funding, but they've applied for $250,000 worth of grant money from the county and transportation funds to do a comprehensive study of the region for infrastructure, transportation, and really what the area can hold. We're kind of the hotbed for development, and I think we all feel the spotlight pretty brightly right now. So the 5 cities are kind of coming together to work towards some common goals, which has been great. And I'd say so far in just a few months, with the leadership of those individuals, we've really made some strides so far. So we'll keep you apprised of our progress.
Thank you. All right, we will go on to item 8.1, recognition of services for Planning Commissioner Jessica Morton. Michael Malloy, our city planner.
I'd like to invite Jessica to join me here for just a moment. I asked our staff today to research when Jessica was appointed. I believe it was in June of 2012. Does that sound about right?
I started as an alternate 2010.
Okay, even sooner then. That is a significant amount of time, as our city council members know, in serving in this capacity. I've been with the city a year, and I have watched Jessica serve as our chair, and she has brought a decorum and a demeanor that has contributed to our commissioners being successful, to treating all of our applicants with respect and with courtesy and patience, which at times can be very difficult. Just because it's a difficult process, of course. Anytime we're dealing with private property rights and balancing the interests of the public, it is a challenge. And to have a woman of this commitment and her demeanor serve in this capacity has made my job so much easier. And I've already told her she's been missed, and I think you only missed 1 meeting or 2 since you've stepped down from this position. We have prepared just a small thank you note and a gift card and even your nameplate. Let me tell you, these are the smallest tokens of our affection that we can possibly share with this tremendous member of our city. Clearly, you don't do this job, being a planning commissioner, for these types of rewards. You do it because you deeply, deeply care about this community, but this special place where you live and raise your family. And again, I just wish to express my appreciation for your service. And I know that's why you're here tonight, so that you can hear that from our city council.
Do you want to say anything?
Oh, man. I've just appreciated being on the Planning Commission, so I want to thank you for appointing me and let me be in that journey. I don't want to say too much because I might start crying. Anyways, I have truly missed being on there, and I've enjoyed it, and I've grown, and it's helped me to realize how much work it is to plan a city. But thank you. I've enjoyed being with each one of you, and Clint, you and I were on there together. So I've enjoyed working with you side by side, and I've enjoyed getting to know each one of you. So thank you so much.
If I might, you don't get. Sure. What? Oh yeah, we do want to take a picture.
Yeah, let's give a few comments.
Okay.
Oh, you don't get to walk away yet.
Hold on.
I've got like 10 minutes prepared, so.
Yes. So, Jessica, thank you first and foremost. I was working at the city when you were first brought on to Planning Commission, so I remember that was the first time I met you. It's been fun to see you grow in that role, both as I was working at the city, then when I departed for a time, then when I came back in a different role. It's, following you on social and seeing the good things that you're doing. You don't get 8 years of service without the support of your husband and your cute little girl, and the hours that have been taken away from your fun family on behalf of the city and the dedicated service. And so really, thank you is not enough. I hope that you drive around the city. I hope you share with your cute little girls you drive around the city the impact that you've made, the good that you've done in the building of this community, because you've done it with passion and with a love of the community that you've lived in for how many years?
Let's see here, 14.
14. Very different Herriman when you moved in, and you've helped us get through some of those growing pains. So just a personal thank you, and a personal thank you to your family, Jeff, and tell me your little girl's name again.
Amberly.
Amberly? Amberly. Thank you, Amberly, for letting us use your mom for several hours. Shy. Thank you, Jessica.
Thanks.
So very appreciated.
Thank you.
Well, obviously, Jessica, you and I go back quite a ways. Jessica and I were actually appointed to the Planning Commission at the same time in, like say, 2010, I believe it was. And I think those first couple of meetings, both of us probably sat there, and though we might not have verbalized it to each other, I'm sure we both thought, what in the world have we done? What have we gotten ourselves into? But it's been an honor to serve side by side with you for as many years as I was able to, and to learn and grow with you. I've said many times, and I think you'll concur, that this is a volunteer position. Basically, there's a very, very a small compensation that goes along with the many, many hours that these people dedicate on the Planning Commission. So along with the very small tokens of appreciation, it's the very small pay that I know isn't what keeps anybody there on the Planning Commission. But I dare say that the Planning Commission is one of the most difficult jobs that you can ask a person in a community to step up and get involved in and volunteer their time for. You're dealing with property rights, some of the most sacred rights that we have in a community is our own individual property rights, and those of big landowners or old farmers and their rights to develop their property. And it is a difficult job, not only dealing with the individual and balancing those individual property rights, but then trying to have that long-term vision and looking forward to what the city needs as we continue to grow. And I hope, as Nicole has said, that you walk away very proud of some of the things that you were able to be involved with. I know I am. And you should walk away very proud of the service that you gave, but the impact that you had in shaping this community and the community where your family will continue to reside and you will raise your daughter. And it does take a huge sacrifice, not only on the part of the individual, but on the part of the family. My wife still hasn't forgiven me for the day I came home and told her that I volunteered to be on the Planning Commission. So, and then it's just spiraled out of control from there. So, but again, our thanks aren't enough. I appreciate your friendship, your dedication, your service to the community, and hope that you will be proud and continue to stay involved where you can with the community, because you bring a lot to it. So thank you very much.
Same, thank you for what you do. I was thinking that we make the rules and you guys have to enforce them, and so everybody's always mad at the Planning Commission, because that's where the public has to show up and say, why are you doing this to me? And you're just saying, I'm just enforcing the rules. But so sometimes I would think it's rather thankless, but thanks for having thick skin and just sticking to, what the ordinances say and enforcing those things, and for so much service and of your time. Thank you.
I just say congratulations, your service is over, you're free to go back, but really a heartfelt thank you, because as we all know, it is a largely thankless task. And I think there's gonna be a support group of loved ones pretty soon for those of us put all this time in, but especially the Planning Commission. I don't think people understand how much time and effort they really spend doing that job, really for no monetary compensation whatsoever. I mean, it really is for the love of their community, so thank you very much.
You know, Jessica, I believe the first time we met is when I brought 100 of my closest friends to a planning commission meeting to yell at the city about something that was going on in my neighborhood. And the entire time that I've been around the city and been interacting with, you know, on both sides, you've always been there, and you've been a fantastic addition and a fantastic resource for those that needed help. You helped me in my community, in my neighborhood, when we were looking for help to figure out how to deal with a problem that we were dealing with, and you were there listening to us and helping us along, and I've watched you do that time and again. And so I personally appreciate it, and I know on behalf of the council, as well as all the residents of Herriman, whether they know it or not, or express it or not, it's a lot of work that is never given enough gratitude, and usually is given a lot of negative feelings are directed towards you. But you have done well, and we appreciate everything that you've done for us. So thank you very much. And if you would like, we would love to take a picture with you as you depart our wonderful ranks.
And with your family. I would love to have
Yes,
her family
absolutely.
join.
Okay.
So we'll come down.
Smile, Brett.
Right now, Jessica, just don't use your powers of good against us moving forward, because we know you know better, and we'll have a hard time fighting against you. All right, we will move to item 8.2, Unified Fire Authority Quarterly Report. Chief Pilgrim.
That 2 minutes applies to me too, right?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
We've got 6 minutes before we, get to break last week's record.
All right, works for me. Okay, so no, thank you, esteemed Mayor and Council. Definitely happy to be here tonight to present our last quarter's numbers, just to kind of give you an idea of what we're doing and how things are going. So this will represent what we did as a department here in Herriman from October to December. Also, just kind of make a note of this time of year. So about 2 years ago, we began the journey of kind of reforming and restructuring and changing the culture of Unified Fire Authority. And to date, now we've accomplished some pretty significant things, some huge tasks, a lot of things that were, at the time, pretty intimidating and even almost in the realm of like, how are we even going to do some of these things? And over the 2 years, with a lot of good leadership and a lot of good guidance, we've made a lot of tremendous improvements, which I'd like to share with you tonight. So first, we'll kind of begin with the statistics and the numbers. And we kind of have some of that, kind of the progress and the things that we've done over the last 2 years. So just real quick, just in the scheme of things with where Herriman fits in. Overall, from October to December, with the two stations we have, Station 103 and Station 123. If you notice, both are four-handed staffing, which is awesome. That's one of the big accomplishments we've made over the last 2 years. But Station 103 ran 53 fire calls, or fire-related calls, where they had 137 medicals, which average, we run quite a few medical calls, more than fire, as most of us know. For a total of 190 calls for that station, then 123 up off Mount Ogden Peak, where the 3 schools are, off Patriot Ridge. They had 59 fire calls, 89 medicals with 148 calls for that quarter. So we're noticing as we look at some of the numbers, especially over a 12-month average, we're getting busier. I think a lot of that has to do with, population increases and the amount of visitors that come into Herriman, especially with, the new things coming in, like with RSL and all that. There's definitely a lot of people here. But, as population grows and people age and new people move in, you have changes in demographics, which do increase different types of calls that we respond to. So right here, though, it just shows you kind of that average breakdown. October, November, December were definitely busier months than previously, as you can see there. A little bit of decline in December, which is kind of surprising with fires. A lot of times, November, December, we see a peak because people are turning on the furnaces or using fireplaces. A lot more things are going on with heating, and a lot of times those lead to those challenges that we come across. So definitely an interesting number there to see that kind of drop a little bit for 103. Similar to 123, they kind of stay a little more even. But you can see there too, they've had definitely an increase in calls, especially with their total call volume there. So pretty interesting as far as, as things are going along there. Pretty standard. We're not noticing anything too atypical, but this does help us kind of plan out for future things like the new fire stations and locations when we start looking at response times and growth and where we're expecting things to happen. So working closely with the city on the plans that, are there. We're looking at, that perfect placement for the next station, because that is a permanent thing. Once it's there, it's not easy to move it. So we want to make sure when we do build that future station that it goes in the right location. That would be based off a lot of this data. So when I looked at this kind of breaks down Herriman as a whole, and the fall number at first seems a little concerning. There's a lot of falls, and a lot of times that can be attributed to, older demographic. But when I looked at our department statistics, the number one medical call that we went on in UFA and probably in the Valley is falls. Falls are the most common medical calls. So overall, we went on over 2,600 falls. And so Herriman, represented 43 of those quarterly.
Falls, are those more weather related, or are they age?
They're all over the gamut. You have, people in home tripping hazards, especially elderly, gets a little bit harder to get around. These can be attributed to outside falls, construction accidents, things of those nature. So, but yeah, it's definitely something we kind of key in on, and if there's something that we can do to intervene or educate, or, especially when we do respond to certain homes and certain calls where we notice it's either they're looking like they're having some issues with some, aging and some things that, they're gonna need a little bit of assistance, or if it's a multiple call type of scenario where we've been to this person's house once, twice, 3, 4 times, and we start looking at some other services that we can help connect them with, especially with Salt Lake County Aging Services and, any kind of, resources that are available to them. We definitely try to make them known so we can get them some help. So we're always willing to go help them out, and we're happy to do it, but we also want to make sure they can maintain their independence and have assistance so we don't have to be there all the time.
Just a question on the traffic accidents, 22, does that mean that there were 22 accidents that required medical attention?
They were called on to. So a lot of times we'll go in the traffic accident when it's dispatched, and we'll meet, we'll see how many patients are there. A lot of times there's signed releases where we just, do a quick assessment. If the patient feels that they don't need to go to the hospital, and that we still count any call that we go on is one of those. I can get definite transport numbers, but that doesn't mean 22 transports off of those accidents. It means our units showed up, intervened, or interacted with some patients.
Some way.
Yeah. Okay. So more than likely, I'd say the majority were not probably transport related. I'd have to get specifics, but
I'm really okay with that. Just knowing that that's 22 people that you were asked to check out. Basically.
Yeah. Yep. So, and that could be multiple vehicles, single vehicle into like an object. This doesn't break it down to specifics, so we can get that for sure. So, but nothing on here again really stands out as too concerning or alarming. The falls thing again, it is a little bit higher, than what we may typically see. So that's something we'll definitely, as crews, as we go out and we see those things, we'll definitely do what we can to intervene appropriately. So fire calls. So definitely predominant thing we go on is alarms. Quite a few alarms. A lot of those are accidental or unintentional alarm activations. So either someone pulls the alarm or it's just a malfunction in the system or a test or something that they're doing. On occasion, the alarms do lead into a real fire, which is what they're intended to do. But you'll see here pretty average. We do a lot of public service stuff, so lockouts will help PD if they can or they can't get there. We do those. We're more likely to do a lockout any time of the year. Definitely summertime and wintertime are our high risk lockouts where we take those very seriously. Natural gas leaks, 9's pretty common, especially for an area where you're doing a lot of construction and improvements, and there's a lot of infrastructure going in. Those are pretty common as well. So, so nothing on here again stands out as too concerning, but we definitely keep track of those and just make sure there's nothing that's too troublesome for us. So now some of the fun stuff. Stations are definitely heavily engaged in the community, especially in the events. Love participating. Awesome stuff is going on out here. I mean, the events are amazing. And we even have, when we do have constant man shifts or people who rove in here, they constantly compliment and kind of talk up how awesome it is to be here in those events. And sometimes, we get there and, we got to spend time at those events, but once they're done and they get it, they complete their task, they love being there. And so it's pretty awesome to hear the guys who come into Herriman, to work, a shift or two, how much they enjoy doing that stuff. But we helped out with Herriman How, that was a big one. Helps kind of take the pressure off of our station crews. We staff those with our event staff. Station crews will still be present, but that means they can stay available, and if they get a call, they can leave, and we still have coverage for that event. So we do lean heavily on our event staff and Matt McFarland to make sure we have the proper coverage throughout the entire event. So if the crews have to leave for something else, there's no compromise there. Something that's pretty awesome, the Herriman Safety Training Day. As the mayor mentioned, we'll kind of get into this later on in probably the next council meeting, but we recently just did what we call the CPR and first aid class, but we emphasize what we call hands-only CPR, so push to survive, which is basically no more mouth-to-mouth. We just do compressions, and we focus on that. A lot of people get a little intimidated by CPR in the first place, especially when you have to add that mouth-to-mouth part. And that's kind of been, we've been moving away from that on a national level for a long time just because it's proven to be pretty ineffective compared to just doing really good CPR. The reason why this one stands out is about a week ago, we did have a call here in Herriman of a gentleman who's out shoveling snow, suffering a cardiac event, and CPR was necessary. A neighbor called 911, started CPR, and then there's actually 2 Herriman City employees. Got them written down because I'm getting ready. So Travis Stinger, brand new, 3 months on the job, and Gunnar Kelsch were plowing in that neighborhood. Happened to not only have the awareness and wherewithal to recognize something wasn't right, but the courage to actually step in there and do something. That can be pretty intimidating. It's a difficult situation to walk into, and it was pretty interesting. 103, actually, the crews here tonight responded on that call. I happened to be there with them, so I responded. I remember my first impression showing up on the calls. There's two individuals, trading out and doing CPR, and it was like amazing CPR. It wasn't like what you're kind of used to seeing. I'm like, man, those guys know what they're doing. And it didn't click. I didn't see where the truck was parked. I didn't see what was going on initially. And we let them keep going while we kind of got the medical stuff set up, and the crew started intervening. And those guys, they just stuck it out. They did the cycles of CPR as they were asked to do. And I was just kind of watching like, man, these guys know what's going on. Like they obviously have been trained, And I didn't put 2 and 2 together because of kind of the intensity of that situation. And so get the patient loaded up, transported to the hospital. I had a chance to go talk to him real quick and saw they were parked in the plow truck. And it was just awesome to see not only their quick reaction, but just how well they actually did. The reason why that's significant is by the time they did arrive to the hospital with the quick intervention of those 2, as well as our medics and the crew on site. By the time they got to the hospital, the patient was talking and was alert and was rushed to additional medical help, or they took care of him, in that facility. But pretty amazing. That's a very rare outcome with CPR, especially in that situation. So to have them intervene as quickly as they did made in our opinion, has made an extreme difference in the outcome of that call. So we are working on, we have a life-saving award. That's a pretty formal award that we like to present. That does include, if they're interested, the involvement of the individuals who were the recipients of the CPR. So we definitely like to include them. So we're kind of letting a few things play out, and then probably in the next council meeting or two, we'll recognize them officially in that capacity. But awesome. It's something to be proud of for sure. So besides that, everything else is going to be kind of not as exciting, but we've been doing a lot of work with RSL, make sure their games are staffed, as well as rugby, which is starting up again. So we're making sure we have crews on site. Our guys are there. A lot of our crews go to attend the games and see how things are going, see how the facility works, how those games play out. If there's injuries, what we can do for best practices. So that's been a pretty awesome situation. And then we just recently went through a CERT class, conducted the simulation exercise, and trained over 30 people, I believe, in those classes. So it's good to see that kind of revitalized and some more action happening with that as well. So, and then like we mentioned earlier in the other slides, we are trying to stay active in the community. So with the Herriman Senior Social, we make sure our crews are out and interacting and meeting people, and we want people to know we're here for them, and we're happy to help them out. It's never a burden to call us. That's what we're here for, and so we want people to know that that's what that's our mission. That's what we want to do. So as far as, again, community involvement, a lot of station tours happen in both the Herriman stations, almost more than any of our other stations in the department. So quite a few tours there for over 100 people at Station 103. And then we do a lot of off-site and talking demos at schools and preschools, at all age groups. But most of our educational stuff goes to the preschools and sixth, or I guess kindergarten, sixth grade, because that's kind of that popular demographic where they really have a lot of interest in fire safety and what we have going on. We do attend a lot of the Herriman High football games. We try again to staff those with event personnel so that our crews can stay available, but they attend those as often as possible. And again, 123 is also extremely busy with station tours. We get them daily when the kids get out of school, and we get organized tours when we get those set up. And so over 300 people visit that station, and then several off-site visits as well. So, and we love interacting with the community. That's one of the best parts of the job, is interacting with them in the non-emergent situation where we have a chance to show them and talk to them and educate them and just tell them about what we do. So it's a great opportunity for us. Again, Herriman is extremely busy with our fire prevention activities, especially a lot of the new construction and the growth that's going on. So Dan DeVogue, he's been working through some stuff personally, but he's been great. He's still maintaining his responsibilities and doing things he wants to do, and even if we're trying to get him to kind of take a break, he chooses not to. So he's dedicated to seeing a lot of these things do. So again, over the 3 months, over 111 plan reviews, which is huge. It has a ton of plans for them to look at. 316 inspections, and then quite a few fire protection inspections, almost 100 there between the two, and then a lot of administrative accomplishments for them as well. A lot of code questions that come in either from the city or from individual businesses, complaints that come in either through our website or phone calls in or anything that that's generated that makes it to our prevention division, and then just a large amount of meetings and other things that we're working through there. So prevention is extremely busy, and again, this is a large part of what we do that goes on behind the scenes. This doesn't have the red trucks and the fancy lights. These are, this is a lot of the very important stuff that prevents those other things from happening. So we definitely value what they do. So one thing I wanted to add to this is kind of introduce you guys to some of our station crews that are here in Herriman. So like I said, tonight we do have Station 103 here. So today's our A shift. So I'm recently assigned as the A shift battalion chief, so I'll be Battalion 12. So I've been out here for about a month now, just getting my feet under me. But tonight here we have Captain Anthony Woodison. So he's been on the department for almost 20 years. This will be his 20th year, which is pretty awesome. So definitely, in my opinion, and I know a lot of people will agree with me, one of the best in the business. Hands down, there's not a lot of guys here as good as him, especially when it comes down to wildland fire. Big part of our program that we have now within the UFA, he's been a huge, it's been a huge advantage to have him out here, especially the wildland fire risk that we have in the southwest corner of the valley, especially anything that pinges on Herriman or, the surrounding communities. And so his expertise and I spelled his name wrong, but his expertise and things that he does, it's amazing. It's awesome to have him out here, and he's a great leader. There's some great things happening on that shift. We have engineer Richard Clayton, who's just completed his 15th year on the department. Again, one of the most proficient engineers on the job, does a lot of teaching outside of here, and very reliable, very smart, and does an amazing job with the what he does day in, day out. So dedicated. He's ensuring that these guys get to every call safely, and he's been doing that for a long time. So it's awesome having the caliber of individuals like that out here. Patrick Costin's on vacation tonight, so we have Tyler Goodspeed here. He's been on the department for 2 years, paramedic, great individual. He works a lot in the South Battalion. So what we try to do is if we have people on vacation or they're out, sick leave, whichever, we actually have Battalion 12 rovers who stay here. They don't go any other battalions, and we keep them locally within our battalion so we can continue to work with them, mentor them, provide good valuations, and make sure they're familiar with our communities. And then paramedic Heather Best, she's been on for almost 12 years. So again, she'll also be here assigned to the South Battalion, so she'll be a familiar face with a lot of the stuff that goes on here in Herriman and in our local communities. But again, it's great to have them out here. They're pretty busy. If they're not running calls, they're doing a lot of other stuff. A lot of time spent on training, community engagements, and just making sure that they're constantly improving their skill sets and what they do for their job regularly. And then tonight we also have a special guest, Wade Watkins. So Wade has recently been moved from our medical division, and he will be filling in for Battalion 12C. So he'll be my counterpart. He'll be on C shift. Ross Fowkes is still going to be on B platoon, but you'll be seeing Wade quite a bit, hopefully.
I think Wade needs to come up.
Brett would like Wade to come up.
So you guys know Chief Pilgrim, probably one of my best friends. I'm going to hop right into this and tell you where I started my career. Started my career in this community in 1999 as a part-time firefighter. I remember driving out here and being like, where am I going? Born and raised in Holiday, past a Chevron, no grocery stores, no nothing. So started there, great opportunity to start my career. Ended up living here, still live here. Built a house about 7 years ago in Herriman Springs Cove. Love it. Love raising my family here in this community. Love the feel in your mission statement. In your values, as far as reading that and looking at it, that's what I embrace. The feel of Herriman, that's where I want to raise my family, and that's where I have raised them. I have 3 kids, wonderful wife, and a fabulous golden doodle. I'm very happy to serve this community as Battalion 12C shift. Looking at this crew, sorry, a little bit emotional. Looking at this crew behind me, a lot of those people have been with me in some very bad moments and some very great moments and have been a part of my whole career. I would let any of them treat my children. I'd let any of them respond on my house when it was burning if my family was inside. That's all I got.
Way to hold it together.
Hey, Wade, Wade has been watching him grow. I remember him as a younger looking fella, and he still looks young, in 1999 when he came to as a what was you, part-time fireman at first?
In 1999, I served in this community for 2 to 3 years part-time.
They pulling the mic up so you can hear me, but this has been a process. When we got Chief Pilgrim to come out here and leave Wildlands as part of his main job and take the operation side, and that's just happened. Part of us, our goal here in Herriman is make sure we serve our residents the best. And we've done a little bit of recruiting to try to bring the very best chiefs out here and the very best captains and the very best engineers and paramedics. And we're creating an environment that people want to come out here and bid these shifts, and that's what our goal is. Wade's been a work in progress for several months. He just left all the training bureau. He was all over all the training for all the paramedics and EMTs in Unified Fire. And to leave that to come here to serve these residents here, we're truly lucky, as well as Riley and Chief Pilgrim, standing before us on his expertise. And we have a plethora of expertise standing in the room about wildland fire, which is one of our biggest concerns here in Herriman. Imagine that, right? And we're putting an A-team together, council, that you'll be very proud of. But for the record, Wade owes me a bet. He told me to be here the 1st of February. He didn't make it quite. I think it was actually the 16th of January, but he owes me and he'll pay up. There'll be some raw fish somewhere. So.
And to be clear, he's still a work in progress.
We all are.
But we're very proud to, as Unified Fire has gone through some restructuring to get back to the components that we feel very strong and passionate about in Herriman. And Wade and Riley definitely, and Captain Winston, I can't say enough about you about understanding the Herriman feel. And by the way, Richard Clayton grew up here in Herriman, in Hamilton Ridge. So we have some very heart-attached people that work in our community. And I'm very proud to start bringing this evolution and bring this back around to the Cheer Fire Department.
Yeah, it's awesome. A lot of people don't know, but Wade just started shaving like 2 weeks ago, so he's still growing. But no, you're
milestones. Right. It's about milestones.
You really do have the cream of the crop out here. When I come to work every day, I feel grateful that these are the individuals I get to work with. And I echo what Wade said. There's not a single person here I wouldn't trust with my own family. And so it's a relief to know when I come to work, these are the people I work with, and it's awesome. So you got some great people out here, and we're very fortunate, and we want to keep that up. So, but definitely the best.
Wade, we only roast the people we love. Just keep that in mind.
This could go on all night, so we'll keep it short. A couple things I want to hit on, then we'll kind of close out. So again, like was mentioned, we've gone through quite a few changes over the last 2 years. The first year definitely being the most drastic. This last year was implementing a lot of those changes that were coming about. But some things that have come up that I've kept notes of, there's definitely different council meetings where people make comments or, concerns or just had questions that I've kind of kept track of. One of the biggest accomplishments I feel like we've made as an organization is we've completed all the audit recommendations, every single one. And so took a lot of work, some of it was difficult, but it was things that definitely had to be done. And so those were accomplished, not just by our administration, but the people on the ground who do this job every day were a big part of that as well. So that was a significant accomplishment for our last year. Budget processes continue to improve and improve. I'm looking forward to what our next one looks like, but we've made tremendous headway and progress in the transparency and openness and clarity and understanding of our budget, where almost anyone can read it and almost make sense of it. There's some complex things as far as how funding and all that goes, but we've taken steps to educate people on understanding that a little bit better. But transparency has definitely been one of our biggest improvements. Recently, we started our 1-in-1, which is basically every single apparatus within the UFA now has an ALS component on it, where before we had some BLS ambulances. Now we have paramedics on everything. So it doesn't matter what shows up first or who's there or what it is, you're going to have a paramedic on scene with a second one coming in pretty quick thereafter. So a little bit of growing pains and a little bit of adjusting to that, but it's been awesome. It's a common service model that's used through the country. It works well here. It reduces the amount of apparatus that need to respond on a call, and it does improve our response times in many ways, and it does improve the quality of person you're getting on scene. They're going on more of these calls now. They're getting more hands-on with patients, and so it's a huge improvement. I think we'll see over time that'll continue to get better and better. Another pretty big significant accomplishment, which is it's unfortunate we have to do it, but all of our units are getting what we call the Rescue Task Force Kit, which comes with the proper equipment to respond on an active shooter event. Doesn't matter where it is, but they do have the equipment now and the training to respond in case something like that happens. And for us, that's one person. It could be many. It doesn't matter. But the training has been put in place now that gives our crews at least the training and the confidence to have the equipment and understand what they're kind of getting into. And along with that, we spent a lot of time teaching Jordan School District basic first aid, trauma for those kind of scenarios, and it was well over 5,000 people who ended up getting trained through our medical program on that, as well as first aid kits and different components for the classroom. So pretty big accomplishment, especially here in Herriman, where there's a pretty large number of schools that it's just unfortunately it's a threat that we have to make sure we prepare for. Another big thing is station planning. 103 is on the short list to be rebuilt, and minimum seismic standards, but they're looking at that as a complete reconstruction. Then the new station, like I say, there's concerns with the growth in Rose Canyon area as well as the stuff going on the north end of Herriman. So those are both being looked at, but the funding for those is going to be pursued towards the end of this year, 2019. So the chief has those on his list. Herriman's got 2 of the 5 stations, and we'll definitely aggressively pursue that and make sure we're getting the right stuff out here and in the right location. And really, I think just in closing, there's been a lot of emphasis put on our service delivery and making sure we're giving the best service to our communities, especially here. We value Herriman, we love Herriman. Our guys and gals love working here. Again, like I say, there's some jealousy out there when people hear about what we're able to do with Herriman City and the things that you include us in on, and it definitely motivates people it increases the interest, and people want to come out here, and that's something to be proud of. We're proud of it. These guys here don't want to go anywhere, so that's awesome. But like Brett mentioned, we're trying to build the A team out here. Luckily, we have a lot of A teams all over our department, so but this is definitely one of the better A teams. A platoon's always pretty awesome anyway, but yeah, it's great having these guys out here, and we're proud to be here in Herriman, and it's a great place to serve and work, and we love this community. So I think that's all I got. I don't know if you have any other questions or comments, anything.
Appreciate all the efforts. Our residents expect a lot out of our public service teams, and I've always found that our public service officers have always responded to that demand, and so it's very much appreciated.
You bet. We're always open to feedback, good or bad. We want to hear it. We want to hear everything. So there's, through the city, through battalion chiefs, liaisons, our website, we want to hear all of it. So, yeah, but we appreciate that because we want to maintain that. So, awesome.
Just a couple of very quick comments. One, having been able to work side by side with many of these individuals for many years of my career, and to know their capabilities, one, and to have personal relationships with them too, it brings me comfort to know those that we have serving our community, and we have some phenomenal individuals with UFA that serve our community. We go back a long ways for some of us for sure, and you talk about Captain Whittison, in your 20th year, all of a sudden we've become the old guys of the fire service, and it's amazing how fast the time goes. But again, feel very happy and lucky to have those that want to work in our community out here. So thank you for being here. The last thing I'd just say, Chief Pilgrim, is you talk a lot about the response and planning and looking ahead, and that's certainly something that I know I'm interested in, and I think the rest of this body is too. Something maybe to look at in some of the more data that you bring to us is either maybe some heat maps of where your calls are taking place, again, so we can kind of see if there's patterns there that, again, will help us with that planning and placement, or even, response times, or at least average response times, those types of things, because I think those will be very helpful as we really look at the continued growth of our community, and as a city, how we can continue to work side by side with you and plan for those needed stations or upgrades, whatever they are moving forward. As you mentioned, once you put a station down, it's very difficult to move it. We don't like to put them on wheels, that's for sure, other than the fire engines, that's for sure. But I think if we can dig in, maybe, find some ways to get a little bit deeper into that data and where we're spending the bulk of our time responding on those calls, if there is one area that'll help us plan better for that in the future, I think that would be beneficial.
For sure, and that's one thing I think we've really made some big improvements on is we now have a strategic data analysis. Like, we have a guy who his job is just to analyze our data. We just brought in a new software called Terra. It's actually pretty awesome. We've been using it a lot on our level as battalion chiefs, and we're able to see where our calls are going. Our heat maps are included in there. I'm definitely the low end of Terra because I'm still learning how to use it, but our data manager, we're going to make sure he's heavily involved with that. And I'll do what I can. I'll actually see if I can get some data, and we can start meeting. I can share it with you guys, see what we have, and make sure we collaborate on that for sure. So
awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Riley, just a quick thought here too. I think the best sign of a successful organization is the unity that you see on the board. And I can speak to my council to let you know that there is not a stronger unity that I have seen. And, you know, given some of the experiences that we have had, I would like to just note that this is completely different. In fact, we've had instances where some members of the board have worried that their voices weren't heard or weren't equal to others. And what I'll tell you is that we worked through those concerns in a really healthy way and frankly came up with a solution that I would call quite innovative to make sure that all voices are heard, including yours, and that those are brought back, but certainly that cities of different sizes are all heard. And for me, I think that's really a positive reinforcer of the strength and the culture of a really sound organization. So kudos, and it's my pleasure to serve on the board.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Thanks, Randy.
Thank you very much. All right. We'll move on to item 9.1, public hearing and consideration for resolution amending the 2018-2019 Herriman City budget. We'll first hear from our finance director, Alan Ray.
We have a few items on the budget amendment for this 2019 fiscal year budget. Our first one is money that we've received in a grant from the Corridor Preservation to buy road right-of-ways. Two of those projects, the one we've designated the Danzy property and the Autumn Crest property, we've been granted a little over $1.5 million to buy those right-of-ways. So this amendment would be to recognize the revenue coming in as revenue and the expenditures going out to purchase the property. Nextly, we have a number of impact fee reimbursement agreements. These are agreements where developers have actually put in infrastructure that our capital facilities plan requires us to do, but they put them in before we have the financing for it. They only get reimbursed if we collect impact fees in the area of their project, in the reimbursement area. These are reimbursements that have been earned. The impact fees have been paid to us. We've recognized the impact fees. Now we are required to reimburse the developers for the money they upfronted for infrastructure. So you'll see there we have $819,000 of road impact fees, $278,000 of storm drain impact fees, and $780,000 water impact fees. These are reimbursements, as I say, for money that was expended by the developers for our capital facilities plan projects. Next, we just have a couple of small general fund expenditures. First of all, the Parks Department has requested some equipment for rescue on the South Mountain particularly. These are one-wheel carts that they would use to get a person off the mountain if they were injured up there. That cost is $6,000. We have a few items that are coming from mainly our administration and communications area for events that have happened, coming forward with initial costs of the Herriman Police Department, and then some requests for some costs for this is our 20th anniversary as a city. There'll be some celebration things during the Fort Herriman days, and they're requesting those amounts in 3,500. Couple other things. We have an engineer right now designing some restrooms for some of our parks. Parks Department has requested that we add $30,000 to that project to design a restroom for the cemetery, as well as bringing electric service onto that property. Next, the streetlight fee fund. When the Timbergate apartments were first built, they didn't put in all of the streetlights that they were required to put in. We liened their property to get that money. They're in the process of selling it, so it's time for them to pay up, and they have paid us this amount of $15,956. So this one this is money coming in that already came in. It came in last Friday. So we're budgeting for the revenue of these streetlights, and we will then turn around and buy the streetlights and install them where they were not installed originally. That's $15,956. And our last item is in our capital projects fund. We have received $700,000 from Salt Lake County for some stormwater remediation along Midas Creek. That work has been completed. We've gotten the money. However, it was Edge Homes that actually did the work, so we need to now give them the money that we've received from the county for the work they did. They, in fact, did $1.4 million worth of work, but we only have the total project that was funded by the county was $700,000. So that's our portion. We'll just pass on what we received, and the balance is just their contribution to us. So that's all of them.
Okay. Thank you. With that, we will go ahead and open up our public hearing. Same rules will apply as I stated earlier. So if there's anybody that would like to come up and speak to this item at this time, please come up and do so now. Okay, seeing none, I will accept a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We have closed the public hearing. Any discussion among the council?
No, I just think this is a demonstration of good fiscal accountability by our city, you know, meeting our obligations as far as impact fees. I mean, that list of things that you looked at, there was a very small amount that was actually coming out of the general fund in comparison to the numbers that were there, and I'm very grateful for the staff that we have and the job that they do.
So is that a motion?
I will motion to approve resolution number R05-2019, approving an amendment to the 2018-2019 fiscal year budget.
I'll second.
Okay. Motion is second. Jared?
Yes.
Sherry?
Yes.
Clint?
Yes.
Nicole?
Yes.
And I will vote yes. That motion passes. All right, move on to our consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as written.
I will second.
Okay, motion is second. Nicole?
Yes.
Clint?
Yes.
Sherry?
Yes.
Jared?
Yes.
I will vote no. That motion passes. All right, that was the extent of our agenda for tonight. So our next meeting for the Planning Commission is February 21st. The next City Council work meeting will start at 5 on February 27th, and the general meeting will be at 7 p.m. Please be aware that on the 25th, there is a concert for our children at Silvercrest Elementary at 7 p.m. And then our Herriman Arts Council is doing their cabaret on February 28th at 7:30 p.m. here at City Hall. And with that, I will accept a motion to return to our work meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you guys for coming out. Appreciate it.